Hi, and welcome to another edition of Forever Art. I'm your host, Frederick Henderson. And as stated last week on our last episode, we're going to have a special guest. That special guest is ArronBell. He's a graphic designer slash musician. We will discuss with Mr. ArronBell how he got started, where his music and his artwork is going to, and how he's fusing the two of them together to make an impact on both the graphic design world and the music world. Good afternoon. This is your host, Frederick Henderson of Forever Art. And today our guest, Mr. ArronBell. Aaron, you go by another name of AXNT. How do you pronounce that? Because I don't want to chop it up, sir.
Well, thank you for asking first, because that's the only thing people do with that name is chop it up. But it's pronounced accent.
Accent.
Like you speak with an accent, like you're from someplace else. That's where it came from. The name originally, the name came from a concept to where whenever I make music, I blend so much together, like from jazz and alternative and hip hop and everything like that, where it's kind of, I want it to be like where music is just an accent of where I come from personally with my experiences and what I listen to. So that was the idea.
All right. Well, see, you just answered one of my questions. I wanted to know how you came about with that name and the concept. Now, if I am correct, you're both a musician and an artist, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, how did you get involved in both of the different activities?
Really, I've been drawing from like a really early age. I would draw Toy Story characters. I would draw like these, Transformers and things like that. So I've always been drawing for like my whole life, and I've always been around music because my dad has been into, playing Led Zeppelin or Jimi Hendrix or Miles Davis. So I grew up around everything like that. But it wasn't until I was a teenager where I just started to listen to it on my own, and I just picked it up out of my own interest, and that just sparked going into different sounds and different artists and things like that. And the same thing with like drawing and doing graphic design and illustration. It's just something that grew naturally to me because I didn't talk a lot. Now I'm not much of a talker or an excessive talker, so I found other ways to really express myself. Pretty much with my. Yeah.
That's not a bad way to express yourself. At least it was a productive and in a positive manner. Now, so you had, sounds like you had some great influences with your dad and Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin as far as the music is concerned. And you said you've been drawing since you were a kid. Who's your favorite character, or do you have a specific favorite character that you like to draw?
When I was a kid, or
yeah, as a kid and even as an adult.
When I was a kid, it was Buzz Lightyear. I would draw Buzz Lightyear. It was such a little cruddy drawing too. I drew him with the helmet and the little wings and the little stick arms and everything like that. That was really big on the stick figures back then. But yeah, back then it was Buzz Lightyear. Nowadays, I can't say so much of what type of character I like to draw, but I like to do characters in a certain style that kind of gravitates towards my style and something that I've been learning to incorporate into like the stuff that I would do. And I get a lot of influences from like Josh Henderson and Jameen and people like that. So really just finding other ways and other things that just kind of catch my interest and make me want to be like, how can I bring that into my own palette and not rip somebody off,
Right.
Just so I can be happy with it and be original.
I guess you kind of answered it, but I'm going to ask anyway. Your inspiration, where does it actually come from?
A lot of it comes from, like I said before, outside of the people like that I've went to school, that I've gone to school with, I find a lot of inspiration with like my moods, and I'm a very cinematic person. I grew up with movies and films, so I see a lot of like imagery, or just walking down the street and I see certain like shades of colors, or like the sunset and how the sun hits the trees, and just scenes, like very cinematic stuff. And a lot of that really inspires me to either write music, like write music that could be a soundtrack to that scene, or it makes me want, or if I see graffiti or if I see some type of design somewhere, I'm like, oh, I want to. That just sparks interest or gives me a certain idea that I want to, put down on my own thing, you know. And I'll go back home and I'll spend all night writing or creating music, one or the other. So,
Yeah. Now, being that you're both a graphic designer and a musician, which one do you find yourself gravitating toward more so than the other? Or better yet, which one would be your favorite that you would do first, and the other one would be your fallback?
that's a tough question. I get that question a lot, and quite honestly, I can't really answer like which one I would do one or the other. I've always found um, I've always tried to strategize or find a good balance between how I can do both. And quite honestly, the position that I'm in right now, I am doing both. Professionally, graphic design seems to be more suitable to get towards quickly
Mm-hmm.
in terms of finishing college and doing graphic doing logo designs or doing like separation for printing, like separation designs for printing T-shirts, purposes like that.
Uh-huh.
It's quicker to do that, and I'm able to build up a quicker resume around that. And music has always been something that I can do on my own, or um, I can grow and succeed in on my own with other people,
Mm-hmm.
outside of like the music business or like industries or record labels. And it's something that just kind of happened naturally. Where
Okay.
going to school in Greensboro, I would find a certain group of people that liked the same music that I did, and they just so happened to be connected with people like Questlove and Free the Robots and people out like Flying Lotus out in Los Angeles. And all of a sudden, I'm opening and playing music with people that I was listening to back at A&T a couple years ago.
Wow.
So it's kind of surreal to think about, but at the same time, it's like it's great that it happened, and I'm very grateful for things like that to happen too. And that's something, like I said, that's just it comes with the community of people.
Okay.
It comes with the community of people that you're around, and it just step by step it just happens, and you don't really realize things like that happen.
Okay.
Like it just clicks one day, like, oh wow, I'm here, and I didn't know that I made it this far.
All right. So, do you see yourself being more successful doing the music or fusing the two together?
Um, it's an interesting question. I think professionally, at this point right now, it seems it would be more beneficial and successful to go the route of just doing graphic design, especially with a lot of people and a lot of clients wanting logos and you know typography or using things like that to give them a certain like visual or a certain face. Um, I don't really think of it like that myself. I don't really think of it like, oh, I want to be successful, so I'm just gonna go do graphic design, or I'm gonna be really free and do my own thing with music, because they both have their pros and cons. Music being that I can express myself, but I'm at the point right now where I can't make a full living off of it,
Mm-hmm.
and graphic design being that, yeah, I can make a career out of it. But I always feel, and this is how I personally feel, like whenever I do one or the other, it feels like I'm just leaving the other one behind. Like if I'm making music, I'm like, oh man, I feel like I'm not putting my all into making art. Or if I'm making art, I'm like, I'm leaving behind music. So I have to tell myself that I have to find a balance between the two where I can really be happy with doing them both. And quite honestly, right now where I'm at, I'm getting a lot of attention and a lot of experience in doing both at the same time. Like I have a job doing a separation design for T-shirts,
Hmm.
and at the same time, I'm getting shows in Charlotte and Raleigh and Asheville with other people that just stumble across my music on the internet, just out of the blue, and then they hit me up like, yeah, we would like you to play a show. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So a lot of this is happening at the same time, and I'm able to learn how to strategize and position everything where it's not overbearing or overcrowding each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about balance, and it's all about planning, and I think that's one of the most important things. I'm not sure if that answered your question. I'm just kind of just kind of coming out while I think.
That's okay. I call this forever art, and part of being an art is just going with the flow and letting everything shape itself. So I got just a few more questions here for you. Keep you. I ain't gonna, I know it's early, and
Oh,
people
it's
got a
11
lot.
o'clock. It's early no more. 11. As soon as I started this job, it was not early. The word early doesn't exist no more.
Yeah. Okay, so where do you see yourself in the music and well graphic design business, or based on sounds like you got a pretty good gig going with them both fusing them together with the design and the music. Where do you see yourself with this particular style that you got going on, fusing your art and music together in the next few years, or where do you see it going as a whole?
I've really, um, I've really spent a lot of time planning and organizing how I can fuse the both art and music together to um, really express a lot of what goes on in my head, and just a lot of people, especially seeing people live like Thundercat and Flying Lotus do what they do, gives me a lot of inspiration, and it gives me a lot of ideas of how I can do that for myself.
Okay.
Um, I would see a lot of uh, visual designers give background visuals to the music, and it reacts to how the music is playing on the stage. So I always wanted to have one kind of um, be a result of the other.
Uh-huh.
So where you hear music and it somehow manipulates the visuals, or you see visuals and that manipulates the music. I've always been about that, like incorporating the two to where they react from each other.
Okay.
So I have a lot of plans. I can't really say what right now. I'm trying to keep it behind closed doors until I figure out how I can financially go on that.
Uh-huh.
I have a lot planned, and I really plan to bring the two together and be more original, be very interactive with doing it, especially on stage.
Okay.
So,
Well, it sounds like you're on the right path, and a bit original as it is, because I would have never thought about fusing the music and graphic design together up until you came along. So,
I try, man. I try. It's all about moving forward and just seeing what you can do that's new and
yeah.
inspiring. So
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're on the right path, and you finally, it seems like you didn't get hooked up with the right crowd, and that you're
yeah,
on your way. So, well, hopefully your name will be a household name
yeah. Pretty soon,
in the
pretty
near
soon. I'm
future.
looking for it. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to get like shout outs to my buddy Josh Henderson, who he just got his T-shirts printed out. What is relax?
Well,
So
now I've seen that.
yeah, he's putting a lot of work into it, man. He gives me a lot of inspiration to do what I do. And I'm always around him, and we're just vibing off of each other. Like I said before, it's about the community of people that you're around, and just positive and good vibes and everything like that. So, onward and upward, pretty much.
Well, maybe one day we'll have Josh on the show. We'll talk about him and let him know that
Yeah,
hey, you came highly recommended.
that's right. That's right. 100%. That's my man. That's
All
my
right,
dude.
all right, there, Mister Accent.
Cool. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to checking you out in the future, man.
Same here, and I appreciate you taking the time out and being on the show, there, big guy.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, man.
until next time, keep the brushes brushing and keep the colors flowing. This is Forever Art, and we're out. Have a good one, then.
Peace. Later.
Alrighty.